Hey! You are listening to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? Got to take care of a few things before we jump into this week's episode. First, our Ramping Isometrics for BJJ program. It is a 12-week program, all laid out for you. It's going to help you build strength and cardio in the fastest, safest, and most convenient way possible. This is how James and I have been training for the past year, and we love it. So we put this program together so you can just follow along, and we are certain you will see and feel the benefits that we do. It's only $15. Just go to grumpyguybjj.com, click the drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll find it. Next, R3. This is our K2 D3 supplement. It is a combination of those two vitamins, D3 and K2. These are two vitamins that James and I have been taking for a long time that really help us recover from hard training sessions. And for only $15 with free shipping, you get a whole month's supply. I was going to pull up some studies explaining the benefits of D3 and K2, but I'm not going to insult your intelligence and pretend to be a fucking scientist. I take it. It helps me recover. That's it. So for $15, check it out. And last but certainly not least, we have partnered up with Jiu-Jitsu.com. They have a ton of awesome BJJ instructionals, and they have hooked us up with a discount code for our listeners. It's Grumpy10. So what you got to do is you go to Jiu-Jitsu.com, which is DIGITSU.com. Find the instructionals you want, throw them in a shopping cart. In the little discount code box, you type in Grumpy10, which is just GRUMPY and the number 10, 10. That's it, no spaces. Boom, you get 10% off. You're up and running. They got a nice app you can download on your phone. That way you can take your instructionals right to the gym with you, watch the technique, drill it. It's a pretty sweet setup. So once again, DIGITSU.com. Discount code Grumpy10, GRUMPY10. Simple as that. To find all this stuff I just got done talking about, go to our website, grumpyguybjj.com. Click the drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner. There, you'll subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates. You'll find links for the Ramping ISOs program, the R3 recovery supplement, and then under the programs and products tab, you'll find a link to Jiu-Jitsu.com. And let's be honest, if you guys can't figure out how to navigate a website by now, there's nothing I can do to help you. So quit fucking around, check it out, train hard, and let's get into this week's episode. And here we go.
Okay, back again.
Once again.
Ock is licking himself. It's a good way to start a podcast.
Start out the podcast with that noise.
That's right. That's what fucking podcast month is for.
Yeah, on my first official episode today of The Skeptic and the Pastor.
Yes, that's right.
With me and Paul Espinoza.
Your new podcast.
My new podcast venture.
Yes.
Very early on in the podcast, my podcast, Frank, decided to drink half a bowl of water.
Just try daily watering.
Just try daily watering. So just slapping up the water. So
Ock does that too. He decides it's time to drink, and yeah, it's like twice a day. Drinks as much as he can possibly hold
until his stomach hurts.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like an efficient way to do it, but
no.
Whatever. I don't think dogs worry about efficiency.
No, I remember that from I read. I can't remember the name of the book, but it was basically Lawrence of Arabia's biography, like kind of his memoirs of his whole scene. And that was like one of the takeaways was like the Bedouins, like the Arab desert people, like their thing was like, yeah, you come to a watering hole and you drink until you can't fucking possibly drink anymore. And then you don't fucking drink at all until you get to the next watering source, which may be a day or two or more away. Huh. So you're saying that's how the hardcore ones would do it. You know, the regular people would just drink up and then fill their canteens and stuff. But it was like the real Bedouins, like they would fucking just drink as much as they could and then just go without until they got to the next watering hole. So
that's what it appears dogs do.
It is, man. Yeah. So it became my thing for Z when we would go out hiking and we wouldn't have water. And I'd tell him, I was like, you got to drink like an Arab, bro. Fill it up. You got to drink till you can't, till your freaking teeth are gonna float. And so yeah, That was my takeaway. I always get like one takeaway from every book I read. Sometimes they're really weird and not exactly what the author intended. But that was my takeaway from Lawrence of Arabia's adventure.
I'm sure that's what he was getting at when he wrote that book. Speaking of books, dude, so I finished Shogun. James Clavell's Shogun.
Congratulations.
1,300-page novel.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed in the end of that.
Oh, really?
I was so pissed at the end of that book.
I don't know.
So anticlimactic. I don't know if he left it like that on purpose so you want to read the next one, because I believe it's called the Asian Saga.
Oh,
There's several books in that saga, and I'm pretty sure they were all equal in length. And so that being said, that James Clavell was a wordy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, there were sections of that book were really good. They were page turner type. Like, oh, I can't wait to... But then there was just big sections that were just... Why are we reading about this?
Chunks of text that are hard to digest.
Yeah, but I was committed. And then the end, once I got within... Because they were leading up to it. Spoiler alert. It's an older book, so whatever. I'm sure not many people are going to read this thing. It was leading up to this huge battle. This took place in 1600 feudal Japan. And they were leading up to this huge battle. So you would think the end of the book would, the pinnacle of it would be a bunch of stuff about this huge battle. Like, they led up to it and all like the psychological shit that one of the head Japanese dudes on one side, he was like one of the main characters. All the little tweaking and conniving he was doing to manipulate people and factions. That was a huge part of the story. And it was tying up all those loose ends.
Yeah.
And then it was over. And then they had one paragraph that said, because the story ended the day before the war started. And then you turn that was it. The end. You turn the page and there's one paragraph that says, the war started on this day, this year of the goat or whatever, how they do it. And the hour of the no God or some ridiculous thing. Tens of thousands of people died. This guy won and became the shogun. And that's it. Like, you...
Was that the battle that made Musashi was in? Like the
I
one
don't
where
think
they
so.
sieged?
No.
I'm not saying that. Just like, if it's a historical...
No. Dude, this is...
Like, loosely based on historical...
the only thing true about that to the best of my knowledge in this book, is the sailor, the James Blackthorne. I think it was James. Jim Blackthorne or something. Blackthorne was his name. That was it. Like, he was a historical figure. Yeah. That he was an English sailor that shipwrecked, ended up in Japan.
Like the dates and all like the other stuff.
The rest is
events.
all loose interpretation, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was a good challenge for me, but a bullshit ending.
Well, it's about the journey, my friend, not the destination.
Yeah. So I am not jumping on board to read the next one in that saga anytime too soon. Anytime too soon.
Huh.
Fucker.
That's too bad. It's kind of like a movie, like the old fucking Bird Box. You get to the end and you're like, what?
I kind of like that movie.
I know, we discussed this.
I don't see you...
There were a few giant plot holes.
I don't see you liking too many movies. I can't see you being the type of guy that can suspend disbelief just to be entertained.
No, I can't. That's the funny thing. Like, The Mandalorian, we were talking about that. Like, I love that shit.
I cannot get into the fucking... I can't get into Star Wars shit.
Love it.
I wonder...
The Clone Wars, oh my god, when the Clone Wars were, like, some of those... The best episodes of the Clone Wars was, like, the pinnacle of the Star Wars universe, man. Love that shit.
It's fun.
Love it. So, no, I totally can. But it's like, I guess, to me, it's... how serious are you taking yourself, right? So, I don't know, like, how to put it, like, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like those old spaghetti westerns? Dude, they're fucking really good. Are they taking themselves super seriously?
I don't think so.
No, not really. I mean, they are, but they're not, you know what I mean? And so that's why you can just be like, it's just been, yeah, man, I'm into this shit. I love those westerns. And like, same thing with the Star Wars universe, man. Like, I don't think they're trying to take themselves too seriously. But then you get movies that try to take themselves seriously, and that's when you're just like, all right, now we're going to have to show you why you're not serious.
That's too funny.
Yeah. So, no, I don't know. I you know me, I tend to come on into things skeptical to begin with. So, it's like looking for plot holes. And as long as they're not big, then I'm okay. But there was the two giant ones for me. It's like, so these fucking things can't go inside. Get the fuck out of here. Open door, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They can't go inside. All right. And then they can't physically touch you, so why the fuck are you running away from them at the end? Right? As long as you don't look at them, like they can make all the noise and do all the shit that they want, but I thought they couldn't hurt you.
So yeah, why are you running?
Why are you running from them?
You should just be able to stroll.
Yeah, just like
Stroll with your blindfold on and a
Right.
walking stick in front of you.
Exactly.
So you don't run into
It's
stuff.
like, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to panic and do
Right.
something, to take your blindfold off or whatever. So running through the woods, which we'll let that one go. Just, you know.
Yeah, can you imagine picking Z up, running through the disc golf course blindfolded and doing it successfully?
No,
No.
not at all.
You would go about 50 feet before you twisted an ankle.
50 feet if I'm lucky, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would not work well. But again, you know, that one I was willing to give them because, you know, they try to touch on it, but if you know, that they spent time training to live in the world blindfolded, so, okay, they've got a heightened sense. Maybe that's why I'm like, we'll let that one go. Maybe you do learn how to run through the woods. I mean, if you do it every day, you're going to have to get better at it. I mean, like jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, fuck. You show up every day, that armbar's got to get better. Doesn't it?
You would think.
Doesn't it?
One would hope.
One would hope.
One would hope. I've seen
And
people.
then there's some examples.
I have some examples that prove me wrong.
And that's the thing, man. You do it long enough and you realize, like, all right, yeah, if you show up, like, eventually, like, you can't help but get better, but that only lasts for about a year.
Yeah, that strategy.
Yeah.
It's a long-term strategy.
Right.
For improvement.
You got to have some better strategy after that. As long as you have something, you know. Jiu-jitsu will reward some sort of effort and strategy, usually. But, yeah, just showing up and doing it, you'll pick some stuff up. Yeah. But anyways, so that was my take on it. Kelly actually watched it with Shiloh. I forgot to ask her what she thought about it. Where is she? Shiloh! Yeah? Come here. Wait, we're doing movie review with Shiloh.
Okay.
How was the Bird Box?
Oh.
Let's come on in. Let's hear your 14-year-old interpretation of it.
I feel like it had a really good start and a really good idea, but they did just try to wrap it up really quickly, and a lot of stuff didn't really make a whole lot of sense because of that. So
She was poisoned by my opinion before she watched it, so I will say that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. I was like, did your dad share his opinion before you watched it?
well, there's that. I don't know. I feel like it could be a really good like book series or something. Like it could really go like kind of far.
Like
but
a Walking Dead style.
You know, I
Yeah.
think you know what that is. I think that is indicative to the way we are fed our entertainment nowadays. Because you read a lot, Shiloh, so you're used to stories that build a lot of detail.
Yeah.
And then you watch a movie that they got to wrap up in 90 minutes or even 2 hours.
Yeah.
You can't get very involved. They just expect you to piece things together. Mm-hmm. And you're coming up in a day and age to where not only do you read, but shows you watch are 10-part series.
Yeah.
So they can build and build and build. So I think that's a little different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But it wasn't a bad movie, though.
No, it wasn't.
I wouldn't say it's
No.
bad.
No, it wasn't.
I mean,
It's interesting.
old girl's character was
Yeah, I
a
didn't.
horrible human being.
Yeah, I did not like
Sandra
her character
Bullock?
Yeah.
at all.
That character was a horrible person.
Why do you say she was a horrible? Because she didn't name the kids? She
Well,
just
that's
called them,
fucking...
She just called them boy and girl.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
That's pretty rotten.
She was the epitome of the self-involved, empowered modern woman.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No.
Like, she was the epitome of it. Like, that was, you know what I mean? Like, that was it. She had her career, and it was like her, she was very,
Single mother.
Self-involved and a single mother, but it was this, like, pain in the ass, and, she wasn't wanting to deal with it because it was a pain in the ass and inconvenient. It was an inconvenience to her lifestyle.
Yeah.
The kid was an inconvenience to her lifestyle. And then that, like I said, that just seemed to be indicative of her overall attitude, and then just how she, carried on in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So
She wasn't very sympathetic at all.
I mean, she had those moments where you're like, okay, you're not evil, like you're not Hitler, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
you'll make the fat girl feel good,
Yeah.
like after, but it's the whole boy and girl thing, and just very. Like, this whole thing is just really inconvenient for me. And it's like, really? Okay. That was my attitude. That's how I took it.
I can see that.
She, you know, she was concerned about the other people, but it was mainly like, this is really inconvenient. I had plans.
Yeah.
I had plans for the weekend.
I can see that, and I can also say that, and I think you thought a lot about this movie. I just totally watched it on the surface. It was pretty entertaining. I left it at that.
Well, yeah.
I did not think...
But you don't, when you're watching the characters, you're not like trying to get inside their head and be like, who is this person? Like, what's their motivation? Like, where are they from?
When I watched that movie, I do not recall doing that. I do that with certain movies. Certain movies I just check out and watch. Like, okay, I'm not going to try to analyze this. I'm not...
I mean, you know, that happens.
I'm not Aristotle here. I just want to watch this movie.
But usually I like to try to see if I can figure out what's going inside their head. Like, what's going on? How are they seeing this?
You know what's going on inside Sandra Bullock's head? Is that fat-ass paycheck.
Yep.
And she's just nailing that role.
Yeah.
That's what's going on inside her head.
Yep. No.
That's how I saw it. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know. How do you sleep with yourself at night? On a pile of money with many beautiful ladies.
That's right. Swimming in my pile of money. I rest like $1 million.
Everything you need to know you learn from The Simpsons, man. So, or Seinfeld.
Or South Park.
South Park's
I've been
good.
reinventing my love for South Park.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic show.
It is a fantastic
show.
I
forget. And then I start watching it again. I'm like, why
so
don't
smart.
I watch this more often?
Well done. Yeah. It's such a good one.
I think Shiloh should start watching South Park. You're prepared. Most of
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're prepared.
They're pretty foul. But they're not any more foul than we are around her.
Yeah, you're not gonna. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most recent episode was called Turd Burglars. It was about fecal transplants.
I know about Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo. I've been aware of him for a couple of years.
It was the fecal transplant Turd Burglar episode was pretty entertaining.
I'm sure.
If you can only imagine.
I can. I love where they fucking figured out they could shove food up their ass and then poop out their mouth. That one was a good one.
Oh my god.
We've been doing it backwards this whole time. They just go.
This one's just as ridiculous.
Yes, they're not afraid of poop.
No. It's a funny premise.
I guess so. Yeah.
No. All right, well, that's all our movie entertainment stuff. So
Glad I could help with that.
Okay. All right.
See?
All right. Thank you, Shiloh.
Yeah, of course. All right. Let's have fun with the rest of your talk.
Yeah.
On more of a movie review topic, dude, I like old mob stuff. There was a period in my life, like, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, I got really into like organized crime and mob and the union roots, you know, Jimmy Hoffa and stuff like that. There was this guy I read about, Frank Sharon. I might be saying his name wrong. I know his first. I'm pretty sure his first name was Frank Sharon. Anyways, he was an old mob hitman, and one of my buddies who grew up in Boston and was a union rep in Boston, like retired union rep, moved here, was working at the jail with me, and so he was balls deep in that world.
Oh yeah,
because that's a crooked world, and he turned me on to a lot of it. Well, he turned me on to this book. The name of the book is called "I Heard You Paint Houses," because that was their lingo. Like if they wanted this guy to go murder somebody, they'd call him up, say, "Hey, I got your name from Joey. He said you paint houses." He's like, "Oh yeah, I do all my own house painting," and that was their code. So there's a new movie about him on Netflix called The Irishman.
Okay.
Ooh, dude, I just started watching it. It's good.
Yeah.
That's a good story, man. Just about him, that mob hitman, and all the shit he did. Yeah, I love that shit. I could get way into that stuff. I don't know why, but I love organized crime and just the violent. But it's a different type of violence. I don't know how to put it. I don't know why it's different. It's not just like a serial killer violence that they're killing to kill. I mean, I think at a certain point, this guy probably did enjoy killing people.
Yeah.
As many people as he had to take care of. But it was just business.
Right.
Like, this guy's an inconvenience. He didn't pay us. He did this to this person. Like, we got to send a message.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. The simplicity of it. I love it.
I know. You know, I that's one of those things. Like, I love that shit too. Like, but on the other hand, it feels so. Again, I can't help but overanalyze shit, right? It's such a hopeless scene. Because once you're in, you never get out.
There's no out.
No. There's no out.
Prison or death.
Right, exactly. There's like
prison's
that's the
not
thing.
even out.
You're reading this stuff, and you're like, and it's like in the moment, you're like, but it's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way out for this dude.
Nope.
He's like, this is not like he's in the army being a sniper, and it's like
you can't just tell your buddies you're out.
Right? Yeah, there's no out. Like once there's a certain line, once you cross it, it's like you're in, and there's no out. And it's
they
like,
touch on that in a lot of those stories.
Yeah.
When you read the true accounts.
Oh no, I know.
They touch on that.
That's what makes it like. It's just too many of those things that have kind of like taken off the shine of like the old mob. Because, we came up, and it was like, the old, mobsters and Al Capone and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of had a little bit of a, bad boy shine on them and being a mobster. And you had the code and...
Yeah, they didn't attack women and kids.
Right. Yeah, there was like a code behind... Yeah, there was an honor code behind it. Or so they said, right? But it's just... with knowledge, you start to realize that that's not really it. Like, it's bullshit. Like, the honor is very fluid. It's not like a hard honor code like you would have in the military. It doesn't matter who you are or what the situation is. Like, honor is fucking honor. And in this one, like, oh, you were good for me last month, but now you're not so good. And so now this whole honor thing,
Well, I think some of those old school mobsters, in some interviews I've listened to, again, I was balls deep in this for a while, there was that. Not.
I know that's how they define it and how they looked at it, right?
Well, it wasn't I see what you're saying, but there was some hard rules that they would not cross.
Oh yeah,
they would not kill your children. They would not kill your wife. They took it out on you.
Right.
Is when that started changing. Is when these mobsters, these gangsters from these Eastern European blocks started coming over. Mm-hmm. This is again just one account, a couple accounts I've heard. That's where the game changed. Like, you get these Russian mobsters or some dudes from like Czechoslovakia, just random places. These dudes did not give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't play by the rules.
They don't play by the same rules.
Yeah,
and they because those are the guys that started to where if you didn't pay up or whatever, you cross them, they would leave you alive as long as possible, and just slowly just start taking apart your life one person at a time.
Yeah,
and just they take one person like a cousin. Yeah, you might love your cousin. But then try to send the message, oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's get his brother, and start working his way up.
Yeah.
And just fuck with you like that. They'd take out your kid, your wife. They didn't care. So that's when things started changing. Yeah. It was like when the Russian mobsters and stuff got involved.
Yeah, cultures clash, man. Yeah, it's I'm reading about that, and I'm reading a book on Douglas MacArthur. I'm convinced now there's like Musashi and then Douglas MacArthur, like those motherfuckers were like, they'd sit at the same table. Like, that dude was a bad motherfucker. He was a crazy motherfucker, dude. I don't know if I told you, he led one of the regiments in World War I, right? So he's leading the men, okay? So he doesn't have to be on the front lines leading them, but he's there to lead them. And he won't he won't wear a helmet, he won't carry a gas mask, and he won't carry a gun. Because he's not there to fight. He's there to lead the dudes. But he's fucking charging in. He's like multiple fucking cuts back and like, oh, bullet hole through here. Like crazy shit. And this dude was he was out there, man. He was convinced that he was born to be a warrior. And he had a destiny. And he lived his life that way. And it's pretty interesting, man. But anyways, they talk about how the war in the Pacific, that this happened. No, it's actually Dan Carlin. They were talking about, because they're overlapping this book and the Supernova in the East episode that I'm listening to by Dan Carlin. Like, they overlap because they're both about the World War II and the Philippines and the war in the Pacific and the lead up to it and stuff. And they're talking about how, over in Europe, you had some rules of war, right? Like, if you surrendered, you stood a pretty good chance of making it to the end of the war. Right? But then, the Japanese had a completely different way of doing it. And so they would, fucking kill prisoners, or they would fake being dead. If they were wounded, they would, sit there and fake and wait for a medic to run up and help them. and then pull a grenade and blow them all up. And so, like, they changed the rules, and so it led to, like, a war without mercy was the way that they put it, because, yeah, it's like, man, you know, these guys aren't playing by the same rules, and now, well, we got to change the rules too, but in escalating that, everybody's soul gets fucking tainted.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. It just takes one person who decides they're not going to play by the rules.
And that changes it.
It changes it, man. Yeah. It's funny how we don't realize how tenuous society really is. Because it really is just a bunch of us all agreeing on the same rules.
All it takes one person to say, you know what, I'm not following that rule.
Yeah. Or a group of them.
And then there's a tipping
country
point.
Or whatever, yeah. And then it's like, it just fucking makes it hairy for everyone else. So, yeah, it's such a balancing act that we do. But that's interesting, man. That old mob stuff. My grandma and grandpa were into that shit. The old Cosa Nostra, Italian mafia, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've gone down that rabbit hole pretty deep. Read quite a few books about it.
That's funny. Yeah, they would always be watching those movies, and yeah, the old Italian mobsters and the code and all that shit.
Yeah, man, the stories my buddy would tell me, because he was, like I say, he was a union rep in Boston. Retired. So, I mean, he put 20 years in, and just the stories he had to once I found that out, because we had worked together for a little while at the sheriff's department, then we ended up being on the same crew together.
Yeah.
So then we started talking. Excuse me. And I found this out, and then, dude, I just started getting story after story out of him about the different things they would do. And I always knew, and this may be ruffle some feathers, but this was always my opinion, and this just solidified it, and he agreed with me, that the union is really just organized crime. At one point they were really good.
Yeah.
They needed it, and there was a purpose for it. I've talked about it on the show before. But they got to a point where they hit that tipping point. They just got too powerful, and it really just turned into, they were just a big mob.
Yeah.
And yeah, he told me, dude, it was so many cool stories.
Huh. Yeah.
And they would fake negotiations. You know, like they would be, you know, so like say the UAW would go into strike, and then they would have to go into negotiations with GM. Well, this is my buddy, one of his, like he would be buddies with the guys at GM that he was about to negotiate with. So they would like closed door, like back alley meeting. He would meet with them. And they would come to the certain terms, like, okay, you guys give this, and you know, they were cool, like, okay, this will be good. He's like, all right, when we go to this meeting tomorrow, though, I got to put on a show. So I want you guys to draw a line in the sand here, and I'm going to throw a glass of water across the office, and I'm going to be cursing you out just to put on a show for my other union guys, and then I want you guys to come back to this line. So they would have this whole thing orchestrated out.
Ahead of time, yeah.
And he said they did it all the time. Because it would show, like, that would get all the other union members pumped up. Because he would be the
You don't want to appear soft.
He would be the only one in on it.
Yeah.
And he would have 3 other union reps with him at the table, and they wouldn't be in on this. And he would be in on it with one of the, or all of the auto execs. And they would come to a sensible agreement.
Right.
But he's like, I want you guys to stand your ground here, and I'm gonna insult your wife. I'm gonna fucking splash water on you. Like, I got to be a badass in this. And they're like, all right, that's fine. And they would let him do it and put on this whole show. Then afterwards, they'd go jump on this guy's yacht and go tuna fishing.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that shit all the time.
Well, and
senators fucking screaming at each other, and then they're playing golf the next weekend. It's like, yeah, okay, you guys hate each other.
Yep.
We know how this goes. You guys' wives are best friends.
Oh,
all
yeah.
this stuff.
That's the exact kind of shit he would tell me.
Yep. Huh. Yeah, dude. It's interesting.
Anyways, I don't know how we started talking about that. Oh, movies.
Movies, yeah. Oh, that's right. That movie coming up.
The Irishman.
The Irishman, yeah. Man, we watched Avatar last night.
You probably can't suspend disbelief enough for that one, can you?
You know, I like that one. I do. I like it right up until the end. The end's a little ridiculous. Just like, I mean, Jesus Christ. Everyone, like, you don't fucking charge a native force with bows and arrows into the teeth of, like, machine guns. Like, you know, yeah, it's heroic and looks good, but
it's not intelligent.
It's stupid. Yeah. It's like any military leader that would have you do that is an idiot. Like, you use your strategy. You know that terrain like the back of your hand. You can set up, be Ewoks, motherfucker. the Ewoks took out the goddamn stormtroopers, and they were like 2 foot nothing. You know, and these guys didn't get shit. They were just fucking getting blasted, all for effect. And then the Forest came in and saved them all. I was down with it, man. I like that movie. I really did. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
In 3D. Dude, it tripped me out, man. Here. Fucking tripped me out. I remember leaving there just being like, I felt like I would literally spent the previous, like 3 hours in another world.
Yeah.
And it was like trying to come back to Earth. It was like, oh, dude, Jesus. Why isn't everything glowing? So, no, I love that movie.
Oh,
actually,
I'm surprised. If I had to bet money, I wouldn't guess you would like that movie.
No, I don't know what it is. Some movies.
I don't think I could ever guess what movies you would like.
Some don't,
I think it all depends on what mood you're in.
I guess so, man.
I don't think there's a set.
It's like Mad Max Fury Road. That was awesome. Love that movie. That thing was amazing. That was another one I saw in 3D. You're just like, you just feel like you're totally immersed in another world. I love movies that do that, man. They tell a great story. They really immerse you in the world where you feel like, okay, I can believe this. That's the thing with like the Bird Box. Like there were things where you're just like, I can't wrap my mind around this enough to believe it, you know? Like, so that's what made it tough. But dude, they're on Pandora and giant blue things and you can transfer your mind into them. Like, all right, you know, I'm there, man. That's like even the new fucking Star Wars. I remember the new one, I forget the name of it, but the first one of the newest 3 that came out. Dude, about halfway through, I realized that we were just reliving A New Hope, like the original Star Wars movie. It was literally, there was a Death Star, and it was literally just a retelling of that original one. But they did such a goddamn good job doing it that I was in. I'm like, I'm in. I don't care. Oh, we're going to go blow Death Star up again. Oh, didn't see that one coming. But I was in, man, because they did such a good job. It was such a good job telling the story and creating the world and good characters. And, yeah. So, I'm down with that shit.
That's funny.
I don't like when people make shitty characters and unbelievable stories.
It's good when a movie gets you bought in.
Yeah.
And you're like emotionally tied to it. I like it. Not very often. I haven't had a movie in a while to get me. I've had movies that entertain me recently.
Right.
But nothing that's got me bought in, not like Fight Club or The Matrix.
Yeah, Fight Club.
Fight Club and The Matrix.
Club,
so
the Matrix.
The first Matrix.
Yeah.
The other Matrix were entertaining, but they were too Star Trek-y or space or Star Wars-y for me.
Yeah.
I don't get into that shit a lot, man. Just not my thing. But the first Matrix is goddamn good.
Yeah.
Or what's that Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Dude, see, I love those alternate realities. Like, I love alternate realities and time travel.
Right.
You get a movie with something in that kind of realm, dude.
Did you like Edge of Tomorrow?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, where he just keeps. Yeah.
Couldn't help it, man.
Yeah,
I never want to like a Tom Cruise movie. I go into him, it's like I want to hate this fucking thing.
This is gonna be a stupid movie.
I couldn't help it. I was like, I'm in.
Yep.
Go for it, you fucking 5'3" little fucking 60-year-old motherfucker.
Scientology.
You Scientologist badass. Keep going, you badass.
Oh, and try it again.
Yeah.
For some reason, man, I love those movies. Because I think the 12-year-old kid in me wants to time travel so bad. Or realm jump. Like, God damn it, that'd be so cool.
It would be cool, man. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm trying to think. You were talking, it got me thinking about another movie or something I'd seen that had done a good job. But, anyways, whatever. Yeah, they got the last of the Star Wars coming out in December, next month. It's supposed to wrap up the whole thing. That sounds ridiculous. Why would you try and wrap it all up? There's fucking money to be made. I think George Lucas sees the writing on the wall. He's getting old. He's
done with it.
He's like, I'm taking this to the grave with me. I'm not leaving this fucking open-ended for you motherfuckers to fuck up. I'm not going to do it. So.
Speaking of putting stuff into our brain, because I got to read a new book now. What was the one you said? It was the light in the cave or the cave?
The cave in the light.
Cave in the light?
The cave and the light.
Oh, and the light. Cave and the light.
Cave and the light.
That's going to be my next one.
Yes, a history of Western philosophy. Yeah, Aristotle and Plato. I know it's funny how often I fucking think about that shit now.
I'm switching gears. I went from this Asian. I was on an Asian kick for a while. I did Musashi.
I was too, man.
Then another one, and then I got into Shogun, and then all right, dude, it's been like a whole summer of Asian books.
Yeah.
Now I think I'm Japanese enough.
Yeah.
I've done enough cultural appropriation. Let's go the other way.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was reading like The Life-Giving Sword, and because I got a bunch of those books, and God, what was, anyways. So yeah, no, it'll be a good one.
Yep.
It'll be a good one.
You've never steered me wrong yet.
Try not to.
Book suggestions. Was it the only one that I had real trouble digesting? It was just because of his writing style.
Was, Anti-Fragile.
Yeah. What's the dude's name?
Nassim Taleb.
I don't know if maybe if I went back and read it now, just because I'm a more experienced reader.
Yeah.
My vocabulary is expanding a little bit. I'm educating myself. I'd be able to take it in more. But just his writing style doesn't.
Yeah.
I can get through it and I can get stuff from it, but I don't get a ton. It doesn't flow for me.
Right.
Like Jordan Peterson's writing style, I can gobble that up.
Yeah.
It flows for me. Some other authors gobble it up, it flows. It was a struggle. I was like reading a textbook.
That's interesting. Yeah, that would be.
It was just his writing style.
That would be an interesting one for you to go back and like just go through again and see what you thought. Because that was such an interesting book, man. I mean, just the whole, again, like the history of tinkers versus professionals and how we're led to believe that, our world is the product of professional people using science to create the next great thing. And then you look at it and you realize that that's almost never the fucking case. That almost like so many great things have come from like people on the edges. Like, they either weren't in the field, like the Wright brothers were bike mechanics.
Yep.
And then I remember there was a book that was the history of the Wright brothers, and that was actually their strength is because they weren't from academia, and academia thought they knew what was behind flight. And so there was an accepted theory behind it. And so if you were from academia, you had to toe that line and accept that theory, and then obviously all of your experiments and all of your work is going towards
it's kind of tainted. You're trying to prove.
Right? Yeah, you're trying to. Well, you think this is the way it's going to work, so you just have to figure out how to make it work, right? And so all you're trying to create airplanes and all these things that you're trying to create are based on this assumption that this is how it works. And the Wright brothers, because they weren't part of that, were able to think outside that, realize that like, oh, that's not how it works. They're wrong, and we're free to think in other ways. And the most famous one obviously is Albert Einstein. He's working as a fucking patent clerk, and it allowed him the ability to think in ways that you couldn't if you were part of the establishment. And so when you realize like, dude, people who are part of the establishment, it's such a tough line, man, because your thinking gets static, because like you're part of the establishment because your thinking's got you to that point. You've reached a pinnacle because of your thinking has got you to that point. And so now your way of thinking and your way of seeing the world is so entrenched that it's really hard to see other things. And it takes a really rare mind to be able to continue to, see that shit. I mean, you see that in jiu-jitsu, right? Like, with, new school shit or whatever. Like, people have a way of looking at it, and they came up that way. They got their black belt that way. And it's really hard to accept that, like, there's other ways of going about this. And maybe, the people that taught you had, that was the best that they could do. But, man,
there's other ways to see shit.
Other ways to see shit.
On that note, have you listened to Firas Zahabi on the latest JRE just this past week?
I have not. I'm listening to the Malcolm Gladwell one, but
dude, so on that note, dude, I love Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes,
I could listen to that guy talk for days and days. Just the way he thinks, the way he's able to express himself.
Yeah.
God damn it, man.
I love that dude.
I love that guy exists.
Yep.
Hey, have you do you do many audiobooks?
I mean, I have. I mean, not recently, just because like I don't drive as much, so for me, podcasts.
Because it's kind of starting to become a thing now. The way people are doing audiobooks, it's almost like a podcast.
Oh yeah,
Check out Malcolm Gladwell's latest audiobook, Talking to Strangers.
Yeah, I want to read that one. It sounded really interesting.
Do the audiobook.
Okay.
It's even better than reading it because he actually has the other people that he's writing about in there. he gives. I mean, he's reading it, which is good because he's got a good voice and he's good at reading his own material. But it's almost like a podcast.
Huh.
It's a really cool experience. It's not just him reading his book.
Yeah.
It's more. It's worth it. Like most of the time, I wouldn't suggest people get the audiobook instead of reading.
Yeah.
I would say read the book. On this one, I'd go the other way.
Huh.
I would say listen, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's well worth it. But that dude's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like
super smart guy.
Super smart guy, and he seems like a super smart guy, but you can relate.
Yeah.
Like he could, even if he's wicked smart. The guy, he's talking about how much he reads, and he's just an intellect. That's what he does.
He's very curious.
Yes.
Like that's how he comes across to me. He's not like like an Elon Musk that's like this like brain powers on this level that like you can't even like whoa. Like Malcolm seems like a very curious guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's obviously a smart guy, but it's like
super smart, but he can relate.
The reason he's so smart is because he's really curious about things. It's not this natural thing. He's like, I'm really curious about why does this happen and what's going on here, and then he figures shit out that makes him smart. And I think like that comes across like you feel like you could do that too. Mm-hmm. He seems more relatable. Like, I could get curious about something and look into it, and I could get smart about it too.
And then maybe that's why I like him so much.
Yeah, I think that's how I take him, because he seems relatable versus this like guru type who comes across like I am smart and here are my decrees from Smartland.
Accept them.
Yes, exactly. He comes across almost like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and
let's
that's why I looked into it, and here's what I found out, and I'm still not 100% sure I know what I'm talking about, but here's what I found out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But anyways, I got excited when you brought him up. But Firas Zahabi.
Yes.
The reason I was bringing that up again, man, I really like that guy. Anytime I hear him in an interview or anything, he's a smart dude too. Very philosophical martial artist.
Right.
And
he's GSP's coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He owns TriStar Gym up in Montreal. He was talking about John Danaher and what he's done for jiu-jitsu, and just going to Renzo Gracie's academy in New York, and said that guy is fundamentally just changing the standards of jiu-jitsu and the way people are learning and how fast they're learning. He gave an example that so recently, Firas had a student, I don't know how recently, but anyways, he had a student that was a purple belt, was going to like no-gi competitions and tapping high-level black belts. He's like, all right, I'm going to promote this guy to brown. He's ready for a brown belt. That's a good measuring stick.
Yeah.
Most people would not argue with that. And Firas is a solid coach. His student went to Renzo's academy and was getting mopped up by all the Danaher's purple belts. And Firas was like, dude, the level in that room is insane. He's like, it's nothing you ever seen. He's like, the purple belts in there will take almost everybody's lunch. And he's like, actually, Danaher called me. He's like, why'd you give this guy his brown belt? And he's like, he gave him his reason. He had justification for it. He's like, he's not ready. You should not have given him his brown belt. But he's like, that. He was just talking, it's just, things are changing. The game's evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
And not just the leg lock game, everything.
No, yeah. Danaher's so far beyond
he's
that.
So
Anyone
far,
who still thinks he's leg lock guy,
he's not. He's at the gym 8 to 12 hours a day, studying, learning how to teach people, and just breaking it down as to why and how, and it's making their learning curve just skyrocket. So that level is just higher.
Right.
So they're just churning out purple belts that are just murderers. Even blue belts that are just murderers. That other schools they would be like brown and black, and he's like, nope, not here. They're not.
Yeah.
It's a great thing for the art and for the sport. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things we were talking about earlier, though. You got people that came up like, this is how you teach jiu-jitsu. This is how you approach this, and to have, you can be resistant to that change. It's like, no, man, like, there are better ways to do this shit. And I do think, like, that's going to be, it's going to be an interesting transition. And there's going to be some friction during the transition, because you are seeing, like, just like in any other sport, right? Like, if you want to learn how to be a track athlete, right? Like, you've got some potential and you're like, okay, I want to run track. they have a pretty well laid out method for how you progress someone from A to B. Right? Like every nation has got like a fucking plan. Like, okay, you start as a kid and you do this and you learn these skills and you build on these skills and you build on these skills. And, you know, you may look at like each nation's plan and there may be some differences in the details, but the overall, like, you know, structure is probably pretty similar. And you find that in most every sport. You want to be a wrestler?
Right.
You don't think they got that fucking figured out, man?
Right.
Right? Jiu-jitsu is still a pretty young sport, right? I see that with mountain biking. It's a very young sport, so you see the same thing. It's a young sport, so you don't have MMA's going through it. Same thing. You don't have a really well-established pathway of how you develop an athlete from A to Z. And so, you know, you have these different philosophies and different approaches and different thoughts, and they've all produced good results, right? Like you can point to this champion and he did it this way and this champion did it this way, and that's what muddies the water. And so it takes a guy like Danaher, you know, you see this in almost every sport, that mind, like Bill Walsh in football, right, with the 49ers in the 80s and 90s, right? Like it takes a unique mind in a unique situation to really force a sport to change and realize like, oh, there is a better way to do this. And I think that's what he's doing. Like, you know, he's really forcing people to realize like, man, if you don't up your game, if you don't up how you're teaching your students and what you're teaching them and the concepts versus moves and all of these things, like, yeah, you're going to get left behind.
You're going to get left behind in the dust bad.
Yes.
Yeah, and that, man, I went in and drilled this morning with Al, one of our black belt training partners, and dude, we had an awesome drill session. Like the first couple rounds, you know, we were drilling 4-minute rounds. Like he would drill something for 4 minutes, I would 4 minutes, and we were just trading back and forth. But then like the last 20 minutes was just an idea sharing process.
Yeah.
Like he was working on this pass, and then I was like, hey, let me see you do it on this side. And then he was going to this side, and I was like, go back to the other side. I was like, I found the difference. And then I that just kind of snowballed. It was an awesome strategy because then we just started talking about this pass. He's like, all right, well, what do you think about this? And I was like, I don't know, let me try. And then so we're just kind of playing back and forth. Like I give him this idea, then he's like, well, I don't know. Here's how we've been doing it. Like him and Randy. And I was like, all right. Then he showed me a detail. I'm like, well, okay, why have you been doing it this way? What? Because we were working on this on daily Hiva pass move, and at one point he had me kind of squaring back up to him. Like it's hard to explain.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I didn't like the squaring back up process. I was like, I don't think that. I was like, well, okay. So I backed up. I was like, why should I square up here? Why are you squaring up? And he's like, well, to get this foot trapped on your hip. I was like, okay. I was like, I can accomplish trapping that foot in the hip by just doing this. And instead of squaring it back up, I kind of did like a little mini back step. I'll have to show it to you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. But that was the whole thing. Then we went on to like a different position. And then he was like, okay, I've been doing this. I'm like, well, what about this? And then I liked what he was doing better here. I'm like, oh, okay. And it was awesome. It was it wasn't hard physically.
Yeah.
But we were getting a lot of good jiu-jitsu in. Yeah, because we were just bouncing ideas off each other. Like, how about this? And then afterwards, he's like, I think you really changed that pass. And he's like, I think there's something there.
Yeah.
He's like, that's different because it gets you thinking. And I was doing something too that he changed on me. He's like, I think you should do this because of this. Because then you really start asking, okay, why am I doing something? And it kind of goes back to, even Farasa talked about this. You know, the old, when you're attacking a Kimura, you always teach like the monkey grip, no thumb, or the thumb grip. Well, there's a time and place for both.
Yeah.
There's a time and place depending on your desired outcome or even your personal preference. And you can't get so stuck in your way. Like, nope, always got to have monkey grip.
Right.
Yeah, kind of, that's a real simplified version of what I'm getting at. And then that's what Faraz was talking about. And then what you're talking about with Danaher is just like, yeah, I think it's just evolving so fast. But on that, as you were talking about that, like your Bill Walsh, your Danaher coming through and seeing things differently and changing. And with track, there's a set system. Like if Cuba's got a system and USA's got a system, like you can see track because it's a clear cut, measurable thing. There's a 100-yard dash time, this and this. With martial arts or jiu-jitsu or mixed martial arts, there is a lot of artistic expression in there.
It gets fuzzy.
It gets fuzzy just due to that. It gets fuzzy.
That doesn't mean you can't have some. You know, it's like the
Right.
problem is like some people use that as a reason to be like,
Too
well,
floaty.
yeah,
Right.
well, we don't even need to try,
Right.
right? It's just it's going to be difficult, so why even try?
Yeah.
And so because you see the other individual, like everybody likes to, you know, again the easy punching bag in this discussion is like Gracie Baja and their curriculum, and you know you're gonna learn this, and that's how it's done. And again, you can see where that can that has its problems. Like you can form too rigid a way of thinking. We've talked about this before, like how you can tell when you're rolling with someone who has a collection of techniques.
Yep.
And as soon as you get them out of their, they don't know where they're at, or they don't have a technique, or you put up some roadblock that they weren't expecting, it's just boom. They've got nothing else. There's nothing backing it up. And so, you know, that's the, you know, the goal is to get those, you know, the principles versus the moves. And so that's the tension, right? Like I love that concept. Again, that's that concept I got from that Cave in the Light, is that you don't want to resolve the tension. Fucking, you know what I mean? There are two extremes. There is you need to learn the moves. You need to learn the basic moves. We're going to have a curriculum for Fruita BJJ.
And that's my goal. I want to have most of that done by this weekend. I set that goal for myself.
So
I got to go home tonight.
So we're going to have some structure, but we've also talked about how do we also create some, you know, like you said, the artistic expression thing. And that's where, you know, okay, well, maybe we got to, for the advanced classes, we have a theme where we're working half guard, but we're not going to have a set curriculum. So we can kind of see where it goes, or coaches have a chance to coach what they feel best with. So how do you find, you don't want to resolve the tension. It's not either or. It's, you know, that trying to resolve the tension is where cool ideas come from. And as soon as you resolve it and you go, no, I'm going this way or I'm going this way, all cool ideas stop. Mm-hmm. So that's the, always that balancing act there. But the drilling, again, same thing. Like you have to do it to get it down. But if that's all you do, and if you never like you know, that troubleshooting thing, like we've been doing that.
We do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's what mine and your drilling sessions turn into most of the time.
Yeah.
We will have certain little patterns we do, but then it always, I don't want to say evolves into
Right.
a troubleshooting idea sharing experience.
Yeah. Like what would you do here?
What would you do here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that doesn't feel right. Like do that again.
Yeah. Because if you don't do that, it's just it's too static.
Yep.
It's too rigid, and then you're just trying to force it with like, again, it's funny like how you know, Kit Dale put it. It's like, you know, this is one of the reasons that strength and conditioning and strength has become so such a big deal at the higher levels, is because you have a bunch of people who've got technique collections. Well, it becomes a matter of who can impose their technique will on the other person.
Yep.
Not who has the answer for whatever the other person throws their way. And so it's, you know, there's that fine line, man. You know, I guess like the thing is for me, my own personal jiu-jitsu too, like I try to watch, like you, man, if I try a move a couple times and I'm not figuring out an answer, right? Like if you try something, like you try a knee cut pass and they throw up a defense and you're like, I know, all right, step back, I'm coming back because I know what they're going to do and I know how to get around that. But if you're just like fucking stalled out and it's just a matter of like, I'm trying to force my will on this position, I am going to either use some sort of like pain compliance or just, you know, to get through, you know, was that really a win? You know, it's like, try something else. And like, that's one of the things like I noticed with, you know, like Pimenta, man, we talk about that dude all the time. Like how he never fucking breathes out of his mouth when he's rolling. I've
never seen him gasping for air.
Yeah. He's always just cool. And one of the reasons is like, dude, it's fucking hilarious, man. I miss rolling with that guy. Like I get visions in my head and it just, you know, you've done something and you've made him sit and think, and he thinks and he knows exactly what to do. And then your day's fucked. But it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like, oh, you throw something up he didn't expect. And it's like, he may try the same move again, just like, oh, no. And then it's like, all right, well, what else can I do? And then he always has an answer. And so you always feel like he's always kicking your ass. but you never feel like he's just like trying really hard to kick your ass.
You're not getting manhandled.
No.
You're not just getting slung around just by someone's.
The only time I've seen anyone get manhandled was you, and you wouldn't take the settle down rowdy message from him.
I consider that a victory in my world.
Right.
That I got him to the point of enough frustration to where he's like, I have to fuck this kid up.
Oh man, that was funny.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, to me, that's the epitome of good jiu-jitsu. I mean, because that's the stuff that, you know, we talk about. Like, jiu-jitsu is supposed to be, like, the technique is, you know, strength matters and size matters, but man, you want jiu-jitsu that's scalable, that you're going to be able to use against the smallest, weakest, you know, potential opponent and the biggest, strongest potential opponent. That's the only jiu-jitsu that works. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have that problem solving. I'm not going to use strength and aggression in place of that jiu-jitsu, because that shit only works on people around your own size.
Yep.
If you do it on someone smaller than you, you're being a big asshole, right?
And it's not going to work on someone 40 pounds.
Exactly. They're going to fuck you up.
Yep.
So that type of jiu-jitsu only works against one type of opponent. And again, you look at competitions and who are you competing against?
Your size.
Your size. Yeah. And so you can see where, again, like the mindset and the philosophy behind it and stuff like that starts to form. But man, we talk about it all the time. You know, I mean, you love preaching, like, jiu-jitsu's a small man's game, man. Yeah. So if you feel like you're having to use size and strength, you're not doing jiu-jitsu. So
you're just out-athleting him.
Yeah. But that's what makes it fun, man. Like, if you can have that mindset, it's like, you know, when you're rolling against a girl who is smaller and weaker than you, man, you can still have a really good roll, a great roll. And everybody's getting something out of it because, you know, you're just problem solving. Like, problem solving is scalable to everything, right? It's like, you know, yeah, my volume mob behind the problem solving might be turned down a little bit, but I mean, honestly, I'm just problem solving no matter who I'm going against, right? And then I'm kind of matching their strength. Like, I got to do what I got to do, right? Like, I'm not going to sit there, like, if somebody's going to push into me, like, I got to resist, right? So I'm trying to match their strength, but within that, it's just problem solving. And then you get fucking big boys like Yasin, and then it's just the problem solving is closed guard.
Yeah, Turkish wrestling champion.
Yeah.
It's now part of the team. Oh my goodness,
dude.
240 pounds.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, that's just a good, an interesting testament to jiu-jitsu and particularly gi jiu-jitsu, man. Like, you throw a gi on a 240-pound, or, you know, Turkish wrestler, and he's suddenly, you know, surprisingly much more mortal. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you know how to use that gi and he doesn't. Like, again, it's one of those things, like, this is fucking awesome. Like, you know, he outweighs me by fucking 70 pounds. Easy. You know, all sorts of experience on me, all that shit. And again, obviously, he seems like a nice guy. He's being nice. But by the same token, you can tell, like, dude, that fucking gi.
He doesn't have the answers.
No, he does not
yet.
He does not know exactly how to deal with grips. Yeah. And so if you know how to get and use grips, man, they can slow fucking people down and really frustrate them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's cool, man, because again, I have no business being on a mat with a guy like that. But you throw in jiu-jitsu,
throw a gi on him.
Hey, man, you know, I don't think I'm ever gonna fucking beat the dude, but
you didn't end up hurt.
I didn't end up hurt, and I didn't end up just getting smashed. Yep. And I mean, you know, that's a moral victory.
Heck yeah.
If you can keep a giant human being off the top of you, that's good.
It is good.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So where are we at on time?
I don't know. We're about an hour in.
About an hour in.
You guys got some stuff to do?
No. Well, you know, got a few things. I know we did our fucking cleaning up Fruita BJJ, man.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's getting real.
Yeah, you just got to see that. Yeah, you hadn't seen the place yet.
Yesterday
was the first time you saw it.
Thanksgiving. You know, you guys let me come over and be the retarded uncle at your Thanksgiving
thanks for
dinner.
coming. That was awesome.
And prior to that, we went and checked out the facility.
Yes.
Played some disc golf. Let the dogs run around.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's
a beautiful day yesterday.
I appreciate you guys being patient with me, bringing Frank around.
That's fine, man. Aka needs to learn.
You know he's my buddy. I try to bring him everywhere.
I know. I'm like that with Aka. I mean, I'm around a lot, so like I'll leave him at home a little bit more. But if I was like you and I've worked all the time, like when I was home and could hang out with him, like I just.
But I don't want to be that asshole dog owner that just like expects everybody to like just welcome him in. You know what I'm saying? So I set it up to where if he's got to stay in the car, if I go someplace, he gets a bone. He's got a bed in there. Yeah. It's not a terrible situation, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's cold out now, so he's not going to get too hot in the car.
Right.
So it all works out pretty good. But you guys are pretty dog friendly, so.
Yeah, man. We like Frank.
Frank's pretty cool. He's pretty easy to like.
Yeah, he's a nice dog.
Yeah.
He's a fucking funny dog.
He's a funny dog.
He gets all fired up.
He does.
Yeah. He's got a good energy about him.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, we had good Thanksgiving dinner yesterday, man. Ate too much. Just
Yeah.
about ate myself to the point of puking with that dessert.
I know. I was feeling pretty haggard after dinner. I had to go to bed early.
Yeah.
Well, we were up at 7 wrestling.
Yeah, we were at practice at 7 o'clock. Yep. He has a long day yesterday. That's all right, though. Try to make the most of the weekends, man. We got a nice long weekend. 4 days.
Hell yeah, man. So, and then he helped us clean up a little bit, getting the space cleaned up, and got 600 feet of mat kind of ordered. Ordered it, found a better deal, trying to cancel the order with the original people, see if they'll do it.
Did you find a better deal on the same mats or different?
Same mats. Well, it's different.
Different company?
So basically, they're the company, and again, it's not horrible, right? Like, it was a company, AK Athletics, was the name, and Lance, uses their stuff. So again, if I end up with their mats, I'm not, like, super bummed. The main thing is the blue. I like the blue of the other mats better. They're a Dolomer mat, and so they're a little bit cheaper, actually, and they're still 10 by 10, 2 5 by 10 sections. I'm just getting, like, 600 square feet worth.
Is it the seamless, that new style when they Velcro together?
Nah.
No.
Man, I still think you need to throw a fucking piece of tape on that seam.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. I don't know. Yeah, I gotta see.
I don't know. I would try like in what Kevin did.
Yeah.
They look really nice. I would try it without tape first, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then if they start pulling apart and you need tape, then go for it.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, sorry.
No. I hear you. That's good. I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah.
My first impression when I looked at them was that if you hit them it's just like if you stepped on them just right near the edge, like
it'll peel the Velcro.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an edge there still.
We'll find out.
And so anyways, I could get those. It would be like the 2 5 by 10 would Velcro together, and then I would have to tape like those sections together.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I'm like, dude, I got to tape mats anyways. Like, fuck it. I can save some money. Just get regular sections and tape them. But yeah, it's a little bit darker blue. I like the blue better. And it's about $150 cheaper. So, but so I had to complicate my life.
When it comes time to taping the mats, I would love to be involved.
Yes, please.
Because there's a good system you should have when you're taping the mats. Because it's hard to keep the tape straight.
Yeah.
This is not going to be exciting for podcast talk, but I don't care because I'm going to share it with you.
No, it's good.
Because it's what you do. It's a really simple method. So you say you take some just blue painter's tape, that masking tape that peels off, doesn't leave any residue, right? Painters use it. You use that as your visual guide. Yeah. And you only got it. So you measure however you do the math, however wide your tape is, blah blah. It's got to cover each mat. Let's say it's 2 inches off the center of the mat. So you every 6 inches or every foot, you just put a little piece of painter's tape, 2 inches over, 2 inches over, so you have a visual reference. And that way you have a straight line to keep. So you take the time ahead of time to take your ruler, your tape measure, and throw some visual markers. Because the taping the mat is a two-person job. One person kind of stretches the tape, and the other person kind of flattens it out with the little scraper thing. Yeah. But if you take the time and put those masking tape markers, dude, it's so much easier, and it keeps that tape so nice and straight, and in that way the seam's covered on both sides. Nice. There's a whole system to it. I've done it more than once in my life.
I welcome your expertise, my friend.
I just want to share this with you now, and this is how I expect it to be done.
I'm all for it, man. We're very similar that way. I do.
It's the proper way to do it.
Taking some time before you do the job to set up right saves you so much fucking time.
And it gets the job done properly.
So much better. I know. It's one of those things my dad drilled it in my head, so it's definitely a habit. but it's a habit that I've had reinforced through experience, because when you don't, you get fucked.
And eventually.
Yes.
It may get done faster in that moment, but you're going to have to put more time into it later.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be as happy with the result.
No.
It's not going to look as good.
No, I know. And I was like, I guess also being a bike mechanic, that was another thing. Like, you just learn, like, dude, when you're about to do a job, you're there by yourself, and you're about to rebuild a fork. Like, last thing you want is to be holding, like, something in one hand and a dirty thing in the other, and you realize, like, that thing that I need is over there in that box. It's like, you want it all laid out. You
ready
want
to
it
go.
all ready to go.
Do all your prep, get all your tools, everything. Yep. And then when it's time for the actual action, it's easy.
It's easy. Yes, exactly. Preparation is an important thing. So, you're listening to this, Shiloh? So, me and Shiloh, I talked to her about this. She will, again, typical teenager. I was that way too. That's how I had it drilled into my head. My dad yelling at me all the time, like, pick that up before you sit down and start working. How can you work in a messy spot? It's like, it's so funny now that I'm a dad, I'm looking at it and I'm like, how on earth do you think you're going to get anything done? Like, with all this shit here. Clean it up. But yeah, no, I definitely would like your help. I'll have you check out the paint or the tape we were going to get. I'm pretty sure it's good shit. I did a search. It's got 4.5 stars on Amazon with a bunch of ratings. So
as long as you don't get the real thick, aggressive shit, so you're catching your toes on it. And you know what I mean? There's different thicknesses, and that's how we got burnt in the last experience.
That's why I'm gonna have you check
that extra thick tape. It was an aggressive edge. So then that led to putting that glue down and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So you
okay.
Be mindful of that.
Well,
we'll check it out.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But get some good tape, get the mats here, and shooting for January 1st opening. That's the goal. Kind of ceremonial New Year's. But hopefully we'll have the mats here and be getting some training.
That'd be sweet.
Going before that. But yeah, man, we're gonna have our curriculum. We're gonna get kids classes going. Gonna have the fucking Grumpy Guy Fit classes going. Gotta find another name for it. I keep saying it, but the problem is it's like, it's stuck. It's so stuck in my head. They're Grumpy Guy Fit classes.
Grumpy Guy Fit classes.
But it's a terrible name.
It's a ridiculous name.
It means nothing.
GG Fit.
No.
That's weird.
No, I'll figure out something. And, but yeah, so it is exciting. Definitely today it started to seem more real. So I'm doing, you're doing some work there. Before now, it's all just been like...
in theory.
Well, it's funny, man. I mean, this whole thing's gone from 0 to 100 in like a couple weeks. I mean, 3 weeks ago, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago when I made the decision that we were going to do it. And so...
now all of a sudden today...
yeah.
We're there cleaning a new facility.
They're cleaning a new spot. Yeah, signing a lease and getting stuff going. So, and it literally was like, it just, I did not have plans. Because sometimes people do that shit, right? They're like, they secretly were like, I had some plans. I had some things arranged. And then you come out and you're like, I just decided to do this. And, maybe you weren't fully sure, but now that you got all the information, now you decided to do it. And I was like, no, that was not it at all. It was literally like, I'm just going to do it.
I'm just going to do it.
And now I'll start looking for solutions.
Sometimes that's the way to go. Sometimes, I mean, it's not like this was done on a whim.
Not 100%.
There's been quite a bit of thought in whether consciously or subconsciously. There's been a lot of thought gone into it.
Yeah.
Right? And then so I think sometimes you just got to make the leap. It's like jumping into cold water.
Oh, for sure.
If you just dip a toe and put your foot in, it's going to take you forever. You might not ever do it. Sometimes you just got to be like, all right, fuck it. This is the move.
Yep. Yeah, it's taking that first step. Like, that's the hardest part. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it is, like, really the hardest part. Because once you get going in a direction, and I've talked about this before, I felt like this is kind of how things were with my pedal company, Pedaling Innovations. Like, I don't know what the next step is. I feel like I'm in a dark cave, and I got just enough light from this torch to see, like, the next step in front of me. So I take it. And when I take that step, well, it lights up what the next step's going to be. So I take that. But, like, if I try to look 5 steps down, it's pitch black. I got no clue. No clue what's going on. So that's kind of what this feels like a little bit. It's, kind of have a little bit of an idea, but...
you won't really know.
No, man.
Until you go.
I know. We got to get our logo.
I think you're onto something. I like the idea of the T-Rex.
Yeah.
T-Rex, I really do. You said that, I think, like, dude, I think that's a good fit. A T-Rex with a gi on.
Yeah.
You can't armbar a T-Rex.
Can't armbar a T-Rex, man.
Yeah.
It'd be tough to ankle lock that motherfucker, too.
Yep.
You'd be able to boot like a bitch.
Yeah. I think it'd be a cool logo.
I think so, too.
I really do.
Yeah, and again, like, if you don't live in this area, then you don't know, but, like, Fruita... Like, this is, like a paleontological area, like this whole western slope. I mean, there's a bunch of dinosaur digs, a bunch of dinosaur bones been found around here. And so the whole dinosaur theme is definitely part of it. But Fruita in particular, we've got Greta, or I guess you ought to say Greta. And we've got a big fucking, I don't know, what's that, plaster? What is that thing made out of?
I don't know.
Some
sort of statue
Some
thing.
old ass statue in our town, yeah. And they dress it up. Yeah, in the winter they put a fucking Santa hat on it and they got the Grinch hanging out of the mouth. So yeah, the T-Rex theme is something that's real, familiar. It goes with the Fruita area. Yeah. And I just like it, man.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's a cool
I
logo.
think people, especially get like the kids will dig it, man.
Yep.
Little fucking T-Rexes on their gis.
Yep.
Some patches and rash guards and all that shit, man. Holy shit, we're opening a jiu-jitsu gym, man.
Yep, just like that.
Just like that. Fuck yeah.
It's funny, you just like, oh man, yeah. Just talking about that, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this is real.
Yeah. Well, it is, man. It's cool. I still got so much shit to figure out. Like, what are we going to do for student tracking and billing and all that nonsense. So, again, we'll figure it out. So,
like you said, you can't see too many steps ahead.
No.
You got to let the torch take a step and let the torch light the next step.
That's it, man. I know. I'll be interested to hear your curriculum. We'll take a look at your curriculum. That'll be some fun. We can discuss some of that shit on the podcast. Like,
yep. Sort it out. Yeah, I just want to I got to get pen to paper. Just get it laid out and then bring it to you and just like discuss. What about this? Oh, let's fix this, this, and this. You know what I mean? Just You got to start somewhere though.
Yes.
And you just got to start somewhere. Okay, here we go. Here's the idea.
Yeah.
And then evolve from there. And
that's it.
Piece it together from there.
Right. Yeah. People get stuck because they think they got to make the perfect thing.
And it's not gonna be perfect.
No.
I fall into that trap a lot. Like, as soon as I put that pen to paper, this is it. It's got to be perfect. I'm more saying this out loud just to reassure myself. Like, just fucking get it down and go for it.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah. It'll be a work in progress, like anything else. But yeah, it'll be interesting, man. I'm really like that. Just kind of the ability to develop systems, and again, because I definitely connect with the way Danaher sees shit and the systems based approach, and I feel like that really helped my jiu-jitsu, just kind of seeing jiu-jitsu the way that he talks about it. And so yeah, I think I said this last episode, it's going to be interesting because I know my training is going to be different, but I'm kind of jealously looking forward to it because I think it's going to help my overall jiu-jitsu a ton, because you can't help it. If you're really trying to figure out how do I help these people get better at jiu-jitsu, you can't help but get a little bit better, just get a better understanding and shit.
Well, just learning how to explain stuff to people. And I had a perfect example of that before we left the facility. Now, I was showing your boy Z, who's 6 years old, how to do something with my dog. Try to make my dog do the down.
Right.
And I tried to show him. I showed him the hand motion of taking your hand to the ground. And so at first it was just outcome based. So then I saw him try it by himself, and he was just taking his hand to the ground and thinking the dog was going to understand what he wanted. Well, so then I had to back up and explain, well, hey, you're taking your hand to the ground to make the dog follow your hand to the ground. It's not just putting your hand on the ground. The dog doesn't know what that message means. Well, man, that is a challenge. And teaching a 6-year-old how to teach a puppy.
Right.
Whew. You really got to back up, simplify it. This is why you're doing it. This is how you do it. And but then it happened real fast. But that is that process wrapped into that simple little example right there.
Yeah, how do you
that was outcome based. That was I had to show them, no, here. Okay, you are doing the right outcome, but you're not doing it with the right reason.
Right.
And then once you show, then I saw his little brain click. Oh yeah, this is the reason you're doing it.
Right.
It still was kind of a screwed up interpretation of it, but we were a lot closer to the end result.
Yeah, you at least put it in their head, man.
Yeah.
And it may take a little longer to teach, but
yep.
I know I was thinking about that guy we were rolling yesterday. and one of our white belts. And I mean, we were just kind of talking about this earlier, but dude, he was working something, and I could tell, like, he was working it. He knew it. He'd just come back from competing, so he's feeling pretty good. And then I unraveled just one little piece of it, and I just saw everything, just mentally, everything just went to shit. He's like, oh fuck, and it was like, but you're doing so goddamn good. And it was just as soon as I unraveled one little piece, because you didn't quite understand, well, what was that foot doing? Okay, well now what, or how do I, just why am I lowering my hand to the ground? It's not just putting my hand to the ground. It's like, why am I doing that? And, but yeah, that's that balancing act, that tension between over-explaining shit and oversimplifying it. But I do believe, man, in that whole, this is one of that Occam's razor concepts, actually one they talk about in the book In the Light. And the reason, you've probably heard of that, Occam's razor.
Yep.
And, just the basic premise is that, when you don't choose the simplest solution, like why do 2 steps if you can do 1, or,
right.
And that was the whole thing. And they called it Occam's razor because back in the day they used to record stuff on animal hides. And if you wanted to erase something, you had to take a razor and scrape the hide to erase the word. And so it's actually Occam's eraser would be like the modern interpretation of the phrase.
Yep.
Because what he did is went in and was like, erased a bunch, well, why do we have this 20-step thing, when we could get away with 5? Like, why do we have that? And I was like, that was his whole thing, was just putting a ruthless, just looking at everything through that ruthless efficiency of like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Can we, why can we not just do this way? And just boiling things down and making things simple. And so, and I think that's what, dude, the ultimate goal of everything is that. It's like, how can you simplify this? Like, how can you get this to where you can explain it to a 6-year-old?
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's that Occam's razor approach. And I think that's, again, like kind of what a lot of, like with Danaher, it was funny, like Danaher's systems, like they seem more complicated, but I don't think they are. I think they simplify jiu-jitsu for people because you don't have to remember a whole bunch of rules, right? It's like systems. And so it basically, systems is just a way to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. And so once you understand the systems, like you're saying with the Kimura grip thing, right?
Yep.
I don't have to remember, is it monkey grip or C grip? You don't have to fucking remember, right? Like there's a system here and you use what fits the system at the moment, which solves the problem at the moment. And so it makes it simpler rather than more complicated, right? Like you're
remembering so much
right.
It's
because you've seen some of his videos, right?
It's actually how he does it. It's actually learning as opposed to just memorization.
Yes. Yeah. You're not, here's 13 different escapes.
Right.
It's like, here's the principles, and here's different ways to apply these principles, but it always goes back to these principles. And that's why his videos are 8 hours long, because he keeps repeating the same goddamn things over and over. But, like Musashi said, he cannot leave it to you to grasp them yourself.
Right.
He's got to say them a bunch of times. So, yeah, man, it'll be fun figuring that shit out.
It's a good adventure.
Yeah, it'll be good for both of us. Like you were saying, I was getting a little too comfortable. You got to seek out some discomfort. So, get a puppy and open a jiu-jitsu gym.
Plenty of discomfort right there.
Plenty of discomfort there. So, hell yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. Anything else?
Yeah, I got nothing else. I didn't come in with any notes. This is podcast number 2 for the day for me.
Oh, that's right. I know. What'd you and Paul talk about, man? Give us a little preview of the Preacher and the Skeptic.
Again, just to reiterate, is my new podcast venture with Paul is called The Skeptic and the Pastor. The idea is we're both coming from 2 different ends of the thing. So I was brought up in my mom was very Catholic, very Christian. And that shit was forced down my throat from a young child. From kindergarten, I was going. We didn't have the money to go to a Catholic school.
Right.
They were pretty expensive. But I still had to go to church class, catechism, every Wednesday night from kindergarten up to 8th grade. And still to this day, my mom's very involved in the church. She's in church 2 or 3 days a week. You know, it was just a thing.
Yeah.
And so, come the age of 16, to where I couldn't forcibly be stuck into the car and taken to church anymore, and I stood my ground and I was willing to fight. I said, I'm not going anymore. That was the end of it. And so I had a really bad taste in my mouth of organized religion. Where Paul came from the other side, to where he had no religion in his life and he was a real delinquent kid. And his own words, where he feel like he was saved at the age of like 18, 19 or so, I forget what age it was, and brought religion into his life. And it's been a very positive experience for him, and positive enough to where that's his career choice. I mean, he is the pastor of a church, and that's what he does for a living. And so we've come from different ends of it, and it's given me a sour taste in my mouth. I dislike organized religion strongly. And he really likes it, obviously. But we get along great.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good dude, and so that's kind of the basis of it. I'm the skeptic, he's the pastor, and we're just going to talk about life. Kind of like conversations you and I have here, but it's going to be, and our common ground for Paul and I is jiu-jitsu. We met 7-8 years ago through jiu-jitsu, and we both feel that's a really strong connection. And so just kind of how jiu-jitsu plays a role in life, and church plays a role in his life, and where we meet in the middle, and where do we disagree and have those conversations.
Yeah.
So today was just kind of an intro. You know, we didn't get into any serious conversation today. Just telling me about myself, him saying about himself, giving a little history of jiu-jitsu, blah blah blah, and we kind of spun off and went down some rabbit holes here and there. But we talked for about an hour or so, and then we wrapped it. But so today was just a little intro.
Yeah, man.
We'll go from there.
I went in on one of them.
Oh, I'm sure you will be.
For him. No, I was curious because he said something when we had him on that I wanted to follow up with him on about just how he doesn't feel like a lot of times he doesn't feel like he feels out of place when he's in church. You know, just because like he's not, you know, just because of his background, just who he is, right? So like you wouldn't necessarily be someone that, you know, the church people would, you know, oh. And so, you know, I've always felt that too. And so again, that's one of those things that like I struggled with. And especially like part of it is like, you know, I smoke weed. And like that's a real big thing, right? Like, you know, in church, like smoking weed is not viewed favorably. You know, and it may be more neutral, but like it's definitely not like in general, right? Like you may find your fucking Rastafarian churches here and there, but in general, that's just one of those things that is still has that weird stigma attached to it. And so like I always feel like a giant hypocrite in church, knowing that like, you know, I smoke weed and I cuss and, you know, I do these things that and so but I'm surrounded by all these people that if they knew that, they wouldn't fucking look favorably upon me. And so you just feel out of place, right? It's like going into jiu-jitsu with a purple belt on and realize, you know, that you just fucking started yesterday or whatever, right? Like you're fucking lying. You know you're lying. Like I don't want to roll with anyone because they're going to find out. Like I don't want to talk to anyone here, man. They're going to ask me something. They're going to know immediately like, oh, this guy's a fucking sinner. And so, but I was curious how I'd definitely like to get in on one episode and just kind of see how because he not only got over it, I mean, he's a fucking preacher. Yeah. So he obviously got over some of it, but it's, which again is ironic, man, because the whole, like, you know, Christianity wasn't started by a bunch of candy asses. You know, they're a bunch of fucking hard men. And like Jesus inspired these dudes to leave everything and follow him. Like I don't know, you know, like that's the thing that I don't know. Yeah, organized religion is one thing, but like, yeah, it's a weird thing.
I don't know, but that right there, I mean, that's a lot of good conversations could be had
for sure
from that. You know, right there. And that's where him and I are at. Like, yeah, I think there's a lot of good things to just expound on and just share ideas. And yeah, he seems pretty excited about it. He seems pretty pumped that I had this idea. And so we're running with it.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, that's good, man. Well, I'll look forward to the...
Yeah, it's not out yet. We just recorded today. I mean, that is the very first step. We just had to make that first leap like we talked about. We recorded it, boom. That part's done. Now I got to do the bullshit grunt work, getting a Podbean account and blah, blah, blah.
That's all. If you just set up a Podbean account and upload it.
Yep.
I mean, that's all we did to begin with.
Yep. Is it free through Podbean?
Yeah, you can do a free one.
Did we pay through Grumpy Guy? Did we pay?
I think we did.
I think we ended up paying like a yearly thing.
Yeah.
I gotta look and see what the difference is.
Yeah, I forget.
I forget too.
But I think they have. And if they don't, I mean, there are free ones. I forget what, I think Anchor is another one. That so there are a couple out there that it's just like you can host them for free. But yeah, just get them up.
You got to start somewhere. Just get them up and I'm going to do all the steps. Get an email for us. I'm going to buy the domain name.
Yeah.
The skeptic. That was part of our discussion today. Should it be the pastor and the skeptic, or should it be the skeptic and the pastor? We just settled on the skeptic and the pastor. Paul's reasoning was because it was my idea. I came to him with it. He's like, well, since you're the skeptic, you came with the idea. We'll put the skeptic first. I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, I don't care either way.
Yeah.
So
it's better. It sells. The first word is more, what's the word? It's got more controversy behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Yeah, so you're drawn in. Who's skeptic? What's this?
Skeptic.
Yeah, you see preacher and you're like,
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good call. I like that.
And I didn't swear on the whole episode.
Wow.
That's going to be my goal with that podcast between Paul and I.
It's so funny, man.
And, that way if he wants some of his, relatives, friends, church people to listen to it, because it's going to be a lot of religion discussion in there. I'm going to try to keep it as PC. And
it's good.
It's a good challenge for me.
Yeah.
Because I cuss like a sailor.
We both do pretty good. We've gotten a lot better. We throw out some fucking cuss words.
It's so easy to do.
It is.
But so it's a good challenge for me. I'm pretty sure I made it through the whole episode between him and I without swearing. But it's good. It keeps me really engaged.
Yeah.
And helps me share my thoughts without having to curse.
Well, it's like rolling with, okay, I'm not going to use this.
Right,
word.
exactly. I'm not going to use that's exactly
I'm not
it.
going to this cheap
I'm not going to
move.
use this crutch.
That's right.
I'm not going to use this crutch.
And fucking not rely on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's good. It's funny when I do my Bike James podcast, I do that. It's just something I got in the habit of. Mm-hmm. It's really weird because again, man, you listen to me normally talk and I cuss all the time, but I hit my Bike James podcast, or I'm doing one of my videos for Bike James, and I just don't cuss. Yeah. It's really weird, man, and I don't even have to consciously think about it anymore. It's just this is not the context. Like my brain flips a switch. And it's weird how easy it is once you train it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is good to remember there are contexts where you don't want to be cussing, like when we're coaching the kids.
Yep, coaching the kids. And like him and I were even just talking like for way down the road because we don't even know where this is going or what we're gonna do with it. Kind of like Grumpy Guy, let's just do a podcast and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah,
that's kind of what him and I are doing. Let's do this podcast, see where it goes from there, and. We're talking about he's just throwing around the ideas today because through his church, they're actually starting the groundwork on like building a recreational facility.
Oh wow!
I mean, literally they're very entry level. Like they got to survey the land, but he's like maybe a year from now we'll have a facility. He's like, well then, he's like, man, we could do like kids bully proof programs. Through the church, like why we have a vacation Bible camp. You come in, right. teach like a couple-hour kids anti-bully seminar. He's like, and then that could feed, Fruita BJJ. Oh, some of these kids come to the church that live out near Fruita. They can, you guys are interested in jiu-jitsu. We're not teaching a jiu-jitsu program at the church, but here's where you would go to learn it.
Yeah,
Grand Valley or Fruita BJJ or whatever. So we just started talking about that, and just things like just snowballing like that.
Yeah, well, it's fun. This is you are taking an advantage of what Nassim calls an anti-fragile small bet, and that's the whole thing. Like you're making a small bet. You're not. It's not a huge investment. It's not like your livelihood or something crazy is going to happen if this doesn't work out. But something could happen from it. So, and that's the whole secret to leading an interesting life is being willing to make a lot of small bets, knowing that a lot of them aren't going to work out, but, some of them are going to be pretty cool. But every once in a while, you're going to hit on something like really interesting. And if you don't
try, you don't know.
Yeah, if you don't try, but that's, again, it's a mindset. That's why I was like fucking laughing, man, when I realized, like, holy shit, Rob is talking someone else into doing a venture. Like, I've rubbed off on you so fucking hard, man, and it is awesome. Like, I'm glad to see it, because it literally does in my mind. And again, I don't know, but it seemed like an interesting mindset shift to you, that you not only look at, ventures outside of your own job, like what can I do outside of here, what small bets can I make, but like I'm gonna try and get other people to do this too. Because like that's all it is. Like Paul hadn't thought about it, right? Like he's running his church, and so if you don't have that, if you don't see it, man, it's like the arrow in the FedEx logo, right? If you don't know it's there, you don't see it. As soon as you see it,
you can't not see
it. And so now, that's the thing. Like now that you see, like, oh man, there's all sorts of little opportunities that you can do, and I don't know what the fuck will happen from it, but whatever. Yeah. And it's cool though, because it is a better way to look at the world, I think, because it gives it way more possibility, man. Instead of thinking like this is it, like my current position today, my current job, my current prospects. This is it.
That's it.
This is it. Or, the other thing is like going to school, right? Like I think that's the thing that if you feel stuck and you're trying to like figure out how to get out of your rut or whatever, it's like, I gotta go back to school. I gotta get a degree so I can work in another field or do this thing. And it's like, it's a lot of fucking time and money, Like what can you do today? Is, what small bet can you make on something, whether it's even just yourself, right? Like, listen, there's so many fucking things you can do. But if you don't look at it that way, and that's what's so great about jiu-jitsu, man, bringing it back, because that's the, you fucking come in that first day, and you're making a small bet, like, okay, what's going to come from this? But if you don't do it, if you don't walk in there that first day, the first step, right, it's just like anything else. You don't know where you're going to end up. It's like, I'm sure the first day you took your first jiu-jitsu class, I'm sure you had no clue you'd be in Fruita, Colorado, recording a podcast, talking about opening a gym,
Now I'm doing a podcast with a pastor.
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. You have no clue where this shit's going to lead you.
And it all led to this.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
Fuck yeah, man.
It's exciting.
It is, man.
We'll see.
It is, so do jiu-jitsu.
Do jiu-jitsu. Bottom line, do jiu-jitsu, man. It will make your life better.
That's right. Universal basic jiu-jitsu.
Universal basic jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
That's right. Andrew Yang, you and your universal basic income. We got universal basic jiu-jitsu.
It'll be much better for everyone.
Yep.
So cool, man.
Good place to end it.
I think so. That's about all I got.
Pee like a racehorse anyway. So.
All right.
Cool.
All right, man. Well,
see you guys later.
We'll see y'all, be December. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast.
Thank you all for listening. You can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. It really does help and will allow us to keep putting out episodes. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, hit us up at grumpyguybjj@gmail.com. Also, go to our website, grumpyguybjj.com, and get signed up for podcast updates and get our free BJJ Improvement Starter Kit. That's it for now. So get on the mat, train hard, and talk to you all next week. With a permanent rep, a hermit now, boom. Doggy stool, foggy, cool, got a froggy, outside Molly dude. Melvin, Colin, Daisy Duke, hanging by the lace of their shoes. No trace of the tools, shaped in your face, fuck the rules. Snooze, you lose. One eye always open, in times two, no clue. But soon a brief monsoon might give you a view to choose. Stay tuned, include, won't conclude. To the end is near, beware there's consequences, but what you do.